Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are based now. And welcome to this webinar that is co-organized between the Twinning on Resilience and the Twinning on Mpa networks, and is an activity in the context of the Ocean Governance project. So I'm going to show very briefly the agenda for today, and I just forget to add Mathieu, that he will also be involved on the presentation. I will update this later. So that we will begin by a general overview of the Ocean Governance Project, despite most of you are already involved and you know quite well, but other people is maybe it's the first event you are participating. So I will just summarize what it's about. Then we will just briefly summarize as well the two twinnings that are co-organizing this event today, the Twinning on Mpa networks and the Twinning on the Resilience. And then we will go directly straight to the presentation of the tools at two levels, the platform and each of the tools. So this, as I say that I forget to add in the presentation of the tools, Mathieu as well. And then when finally we will just mention other things we are planning, and you will have some time for questions. So the Ocean Governance Project, it's a European Union project, which is managed directly from the Foreign Policy Instrument of the European Commission, and is implemented by GOPA and BNS and WWF Indonesia. So this project has as the overall role, the objective is to increase the European Union's role as a global actor in international ocean governance, and by fostering different cooperations that are relevant at international or regional level, and in specifically targeting restoration of marine and coastal ecosystems and throughout marine protected areas. So we have two main focus areas in which we are developing activities. One is the Atlantic, which is the one that concerns mainly the activities we will be presenting today, and the other is Southeast Asia. And the project was expected initially to have to last for 3 years, but just a few weeks ago it was approved an extension of 1 year, so now it's 48 months, and will be ending end of 2023. So this is due to the COVID pandemic that didn't allow the implementation of the big majority of activities and during the first year. So now we are just reshaping. This is one of the works we are doing those weeks, is to reshape and to reschedule all the activities to be distributed along the 3 years. And the project has 4 main components. The first is about targeting marine and coastal restoration in Southeast Asia. The second is about management of MPAs and is the continuity of the previous European Union Transatlantic Mpa Networks project. The third is connecting both regions, the Atlantic and the Southeast Asia. And the fourth is again targeting Southeast Asia, but to promote cooperation across countries. So let's say transnational or transboundary cooperation. So in fact, today we are specifically targeting the component 2 in the Atlantic. So as I was saying, this is a continuity of the previous transatlantic project, and is based on this concept of sharing environmental protection. So this, in addition of the 3 twinning projects that we create during the first transatlantic project, now we are obviously continuing with this outreach and communication objective, but we are also considering new topics such conservation and restoration of coral reefs, transboundary conservation, and especially, and I didn't put here, but as well, the protection of marine turtles. So just to remind those that you were already present, and for those that are new, the 3 twinning projects we began in the past were 2 of them were very thematic, very technical, and the other one was more strategic in terms of actors key actors being involved and collaborating. So this third one is the first is here, which is about cooperation and common strategy between MPA networks of managers in the Atlantic region. That is not only the classical regional networks, but today, I will show later, we are involving several MPA agencies in different countries. And the second one, which is the crucial one today, is the one on coastal resilience and coping with rapid changes. And the third one is on marine mammals protection as a way to enhance transatlantic cooperation between MPAs. So this is a map that shows from where the first partners were coming from in this transatlantic phase. So we have mainly partners in the north part of the Atlantic, and this is one of the challenges we have today. It's just reach other important areas of our basin in the north, but especially in the south, and obviously to have more partners involved in our activities. So I'm just talking about in this part of the presentation, I'm just talking about the MPA networks twinning, and then Jean-Jacques will mention the twinning on resilience and the partners. So during the first phase, the partners were just 4 regional MPA networks of managers, one from the Caribbean, from the Mediterranean, North America, and West Africa, and 2 national agencies, one in France and the other one in Spain. With the enlargement, with these new ocean governance projects, we have 4 more regional partners, which includes 2 regional seas conventions, OSPAR and HELCOM in the Baltic, and Red Parques and Patagonian Forum, which are networks of different characteristics. Red Parques is composed by national agencies of the countries in Latin America, and we work specifically with the Marine and Coastal group. And then Patagonian Forum, that involves different kinds of actors, including NGOs from South Brazil, Uruguay, Argentina, and as well as Chile, even if it's not Atlantic. And then we also enlarge with some national agencies. We have the NOAA. NOAA was already involved in the past as representing NAMPAM, so it's not all at all, but is as a national network we can consider as new. And CONAN in Mexico, the Directorate of Biodiversity in Dominican Republic. We have from Uruguay, Océanos Sanos and the Department of Rocha. And then we have 2 agencies from Senegal, national parks of Senegal, and the community managed areas, marine protected areas in Senegal. So the main objective of this twinning is establishing this cooperation and the common strategy that, in fact, we have had the first draft in the past, and now we are updating it. And the objective is to have these effective partnerships and strengthening the networks. So, in fact, one of the aims of the Ocean Governance Project is to support those networks to really be strong and to do a better job in supporting their community of marine protected areas managers. So this common strategy has 4 main components. The first one is about sharing information, knowledge, and tools, and the second is building networks capacity. These 2 components were identified in the past, but we didn't have neither the time, neither the resources to really go in deep on that. So this is one of the challenges we have now in the ocean governance, to really develop these 2 elements. And in fact, the involvement of the twinning today organizing this webinar is related to this objective of building capacity and sharing as well information, knowledge, and tools. And then the other 2 components or axes are related to policy support or advocacy, and how we can really promote the value of a good management of MPAs and the value of networking, and how we can also improve the financing of MPA networks. So this I already said. And this is the target areas. I already talked a little bit about these two big areas, more structural, that was related to component to the axis 3 and 4 and axis 1 and 2. And today we are focusing on this technical aspect with identification of common thematic actions of interest of the networks. So when we were discussing what was interesting for the partners of this twinning, obviously resilience, coastal resilience, as well as marine mammals protection were key topics of interest. So we decide altogether that we will be addressing some activities with the three twinnings at the same time. So one group of activities that we call intertwinning activity was targeting or is targeting marine turtles and their habitats conservation and management. And the other is just supporting the activity of each technical twinning, means resilience and marine mammals, to really spread the tools and the work they are doing. So today we are here in an intertwinning activity co-organized with Jean-Jacques and Mathieu as part of the technical support or technical experts of this resilience twinning. And the aim for the network twinning is to support and transfer these good practices to more actors internally in the network, but as well in the community of managers in each network and outside. So that's all I wanted to present, and I just give now the floor to Jean-Jacques. Just one moment, because I need to stop sharing my presentation, and now I need to give the floor to Jean-Jacques. One moment.
Thank you very much, Puri. I will try to share my screen.
Okay.
Where is my...
You have my permission now.
Thank you. I'm looking for... Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Let's try to put it in. Okay, so thank you very much. I would like to thank you all to thank all the participants for attending this webinar. And I would like to remind that the three topics that have been addressed by the Transatlantic Mpa Partnership Program, the first and second phase, were identified based on the global scoping study on the Atlantic Basin that have been carried out. And these three thematics, networks, Mpa networks, resilience, or how to cope with rapid change on the coast and marine mammals were identified as a result of this scoping study. So the Resilience Partnership started in 2017 with 6 core partners, and resilience was really identified as a shared priority for all the coast and all the countries in the Atlantic. We have 64 countries and 31 overseas territories in the Atlantic, and the objective was to share experience, tool, approach, and issues related to 2 questions. The first one is, what are the strategies that are implemented by MPAs to cope with the rapidly changing environment? And the second is, what are the approaches developed by MPAs to contribute to coastal territorial resilience? That means not only the resilience of the MPAs, but also how the MPAs contribute to the resilience of the global coastal territory where they are. So we have been addressing threats and change induced by climate change, pressure rising from the dynamic of urban expansion, which is being generalized in low elevation coastal zone and coastal area in developing countries, and especially in countries affected by rapid development, and the pressures caused by tourism and residential touristic infrastructure development. we have been, we identified these 6 partners because everyone have been developing a very interesting approach, successful approach to increase resilience in different circumstances and context, and we will see more in details what are these approach after. But we have been mainly working first to analyze and to study this good practice in order to extract or to identify what are the criteria that are absolutely relevant to increase resilience. Now I would like to change my slide, but okay, put it here. Perhaps. Okay, we see here some pictures taken during the workshops in USA, in Brazil, in Gabon, in Mexico, and in Portugal. And after being working during 2 years, in 2019, we have been developing resilience guidelines. These resilience guidelines were oriented to MPA managers. The methodology was to systematize partners' good practice, workshop and field visits. We have been doing an extensive bibliographic review on this very dynamic subject because we have a lot of papers we will see on resilience every month. We have new papers, very interesting. And we have been basing our approach on previous works that were carried out in other contexts, as Western Africa Coastal Risk Reduction Master Plan, the strategy for marine and coastal protected area for Central Africa, and some papers we have been publishing also. At the beginning, these guidelines were a contribution for the preparation of management plans for marine protected areas. So we have been assessing how existing frameworks for the evaluation of management effectiveness were addressing resilience. So we have been doing a review of existing frameworks such as MET, RAPAM, EOH for the World Heritage, and other. And finally, the conclusion was these frameworks that are very interesting for sure, but they paid a little attention to resilience concerns, except the CEC guidelines. But these CEC guidelines you can only apply in developed country, because for example, in Africa, it's really difficult because people don't have the data, they are not at the same level. So it's quite difficult to apply there. So we identify the need to build a specific tool for assessing a resilience capacity of MPAs, and we have been producing these resilience guidelines that will be updated perhaps this year, but it is the first base. In these resilience guidelines, we identify some criteria for assessing the resilience, and we will describe this criteria later. Another point, which is quite important because it is on the news, it is a recent information. We have been all preparing a motion on resilience for the World Nature Congress of IUCN, and this motion 035, enhancing the resilience of coastal areas in face of the climate change, became recently, following a decision of the motion committee of IUCN, became a resolution on resilience, and now the number of this resolution is WCC 2020 resolution 030, and the resolution can be found on the IUCN website. It's important because it is the first resolution of the WCC on coastal resilience. So what are the main criteria we are using? We have 5 categories of criteria. The first one is related to anticipation, awareness, and responsiveness. Anticipation is the ability to anticipate and to build scenario for the future in order that not to be in late, because if you are not in advance, you are in late. The second is related to awareness. The third one to management responsiveness, which is very important. It's important to know if MPAs are able to update their management plan without any in a short delay, we can say, and preparedness and recovery. The second topic is the territorial integration of MPA. Is there some spatial planning within and around the MPA? Is the MPA integrated into the overall territorial organization? The third one is related to land tenure, to know if this land tenure is secured and effective. The third point is the social integration of MPA. It is related to multi-stakeholders engagement, formalization of these stakeholders engagement in order to be able to evaluate them, and involvement of the managers into local decision-making mechanism. The next is the political and institutional resilience. What is the quality of the political and policy support? What is the resilience of the institutions? And what is the quality of interinstitutional partnership between the MPA and its staff and other institutions? And the last one is related to knowledge development, capitalization and lessons learned, and technical restoration capacities. So by the end of the previous phase of the project, of the Transatlantic MPA Network project, we started in January 2020 the new project Ocean Governance Uri was talking about. And this new project, for us, the objective was mainly to increase the impact and the dissemination of the toolkit we have been producing and preparing during previous phase, during the transatlantic phase. So we decided that it was absolutely necessary to build a web platform in order to federate managers interested in resilience. And finally, it was a very good idea because in January 2020, we didn't know that the COVID-19 was emerging. And so the platform, the web platform, has been a very, very important tool for us in order to liaise and to federate users during the year 2020. I will present this platform. This platform is quite finished, the initial version. It will be updated all along the duration of the project. And we will see that this platform is essentially interactive. So please give me 1 minute just to where is my mouse? Yes. Okay. So I will change the screen. Okay. Do you see the screen?
Yes, Jean-Jacques.
Okay. So this is the homepage of the platform, of the resilience platform. Perhaps we can visit the different sections very quickly. We have one page on about. It is just a general consideration on the platform. Another page, another section on the Ocean Governance Project. And here I would like to take advantage that we are on this page to perhaps in the following, on the Resilience Partnership, to present our partners. Here on this page, you can download the initial documents of guidelines. As I said, we will update it during this year, probably by the end of the year. So we can see the partners here. We have the Cozumel Biosphere Reserve in Yucatan. So it is here, near Cancun. We have the Puerto Morelos National Park. It is in the same region, in Quintaro. We have Santa Catarina in Brazil. It is in the south of Brazil. We have the Abrolhos Banks. Abrolhos Banks is very interesting because it is the widest, the bigger reef in the South Atlantic, and it's a very wide coral reef. We have the Jacques Cousteau Reserve in New Jersey. No, it is the website here. So we can location. It is in New Jersey, so it is between Philadelphia and New York. After that, we have the Northern Littoral Natural Park in the north of Portugal. Very interesting, but because this reserve have been created to protect the small town of Esposende, protecting a natural infrastructure you see here. And after that, the creation of this MPA that was based at the beginning just to protect the natural infrastructure and not to protect biodiversity became a very interesting economic incentive for the development of all the region. And the last one is in Gabon. It is the region of Libreville, of the capital. Libreville being the only capital in all the Atlantic Basin where we found 3 marine protected areas all around surrounding the capital. It's here in Central Africa. So these are our partners, and we can directly go to the good practice here. We have complete good practice. That means that this good practice has been carefully described, and we will. This section is not still running, but we are developing it for posting, submitting good practice, and presenting summarized good practice. But complete good practice are here, so you can choose one. For example, the Getting to Resilience in New Jersey, facilitated municipal self-assessment process. And we can take another example in Portugal. So you have the description, complete description, success factor, constraint, replicability, lessons learned for every good practice. So I go back to the menu. Here we have a section on FAQ for MPA manager, very simple questions, but basic questions, and some answer in order to start taking into account resilience, and a short risk glossary in English and in French. At this moment, we will translate it to Portuguese and Spanish. It's important to note that this platform is really interactive and is also a multilingual platform. and you know that using the right click of your mouse, you can translate everything in the language of your computer. For example, we can translate in French this page, and the translation is not so bad, really. It's easy to understand. For sure, it's not a perfect translation, but it's good just to understand. So I will go back now because the translation put me all the platform in English or in French. Okay, after that we have a section on resource. Here we have a selection. This section are evolving continuously, and you can also, with the add content section, you can also post some contribution to these sections. So we have a selection of relevant web resources with different categories: institution, program, news, case study, toolkit, mapping, access to documents. For example, if I take access to document, here you have your online adaptation, risk and resilience from India to good practice, the training manual. Here you have the link at right. Here is the training manual of YMSA. After that, so we have some links. It will, when you apply a filter, it is just to click on this figure in order to cancel the filter. The second section in resource is related to scientific and technical resource. Here we have already a lot of resource, and when you see this figure here, that means that the paper is in open access, because most of the papers, you know, you have to pay to get it. So here we have a very recent paper, Operationalizing Coastal Resilience to Flood and Erosion Hazard Demonstration for England. And this paper is in open access and is very, very interesting for the relation between resilience and policy. But we have a lot of topics, and you can search with, not with keywords, but with any word. If I put erosion, for example, here, okay, we have two papers on erosion. I will cancel the filter. Okay, we have papers on vulnerability, on sea walls, a lot of things. And we are updating it regularly. Every week we go and we consult in order to find new papers. The last one is related to news, and especially news related to capacity building opportunities, webinars, and different categories of events. We have only news, only events, only conference, only webinars, only trainings, only other capacity building initiative, only Ask the Expert sessions, and other information. Here we have the last trainings that have been done in Senegal in a face-to-face meeting with different MPAs, and we see that these news are in French mainly, but always with the right click of the mouse, you can translate in English if you need it. We have some, here we have some photos of the training that have been done in Senegal. In Comoros also, it's not part of the project, but it's to use the tool. When you see the air, that means that the activity has been delivered by the Ocean Governance Project Resilience Partnership. Okay, so after these three sections, you can add content. It's very easy. because, for example, to add a website, you click here, add a new web resource, and it is just these fields in gray will remain hidden, so they are optional. You don't need to fill it if you don't want. You select the category of the resource, the title of the resource, the text, a short text, a short description, and you copy and paste the URL, and after that, you click if it is from other source, link it with Ocean Governance Project or with Resilience Group. You fill the CAPTCHA and send. It is the same for the other sections. For scientific and technical resource, you have to enter the DOI, the year, the main author, and for news events and capacity building, you have some elements to inform as the category, the title, the text, the link. It's very simple and very easy to use, and generally during the same day or the day after, we publish the information after checking if the information is well aligned with the subject of the platform. Partners, this section remains to be more developed. Until now, we just have full access to a permanent meeting room, online meeting room. The partners have a PIN code. They enter their PIN code, they enter the CAPTCHA. Here the CAPTCHA is not really readable, so they enter the CAPTCHA and they send, and they get access to the meeting room. And after, the good practice. So as I said, the summarized good practice are not already developed, not yet developed, and to submit a good practice. So we will go to the toolkit now, because it is the most important. It is the access to the RSAT tool. And here we have different options. Read more, it is still in development. We will put here the different fact sheet related to the main criteria of the RSAT tool. Here you can return to the platform. And here we have 4 buttons with different functions. The first one is to start a self-assessment. The second is to start a self-assessment demo. It's a demo function just to see how it works. After that, you can retrieve the data of past assessments that have been carried out before. And after that, you can compare 2 assessments. We will not start a self-assessment because it takes between 1 and 2 hours to do it, but it's not the subject now. But we can see that here, we see implementing an assessment takes between 1 and 2 hours. It's done collectively. And in the meantime, it's possible that your internet connection may be interrupted. To avoid this, it may be advisable to use a Excel RSAT form and then transfer the data on the online tool to retrieve and compare them. Here you can download the Excel sheet, RSAT sheet in English, in Spanish, in Portuguese, and in French. And after that, it takes from 5 to 10 minutes to transfer the data directly on the platform. I think we have been experiencing some issues in Senegal and in Africa with internet connection. And if you have an interruption of the internet connection, it's really an issue. So it's good to do the assessment with Excel, and after that, to transfer the data. It takes between 5 and 10 minutes no more. When you want to start the assessment, you enter the country, you enter the Mpa name, you enter a mail if you want to be able to retrieve the data, and 1 password that you have classically to repeat. So we will look at the demo, the self-assessment demo. So here, the response to the question are generated automatically, randomly. So it is just to show how it works. And I will give the floor to Mathieu, because Mathieu have been coaching 4, 5, or 6 MPAs recently for this assessment. I can talk about it with a lot of experience. Mathieu, please.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Jean-Jacques. Can you hear me correctly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm happy to share my experience about RSAT. I started to use the very beta version almost 1 year ago in Comoros Islands and in Mauritania. And now I'm engaged together with the government of Senegal and also with the WAMPAN, the West African Marine Protected Areas Network, in a program of work through which we should be able, maybe by the end of the year, to have done the assessment or to coach and co-animate the sessions of auto assessment for almost 40 different marine protected areas in West Africa. So right now I've done 12 of them, 8 in Senegal, 1 in Mauritania, 1 in Comoros Island, and 2 in Gabon. It's very easy to do, it's very easy to use. What is interesting to see is that first of all, it does not take a long time. For now, we have sessions of 3 hours of time because we take the time to explain the historic and the genesis of the project and the tool. But as soon as all the presentations and discussions around the concept of resilience are passed, the real auto assessment session takes between 1 hour and a half and 2 hours. And during this time, what is very interesting are the discussions, because the questions that are asked in order to assess the different criteria are questions that are not often addressed by the managers. Some of them are comparable, almost the same as the one you find in usual management efficiency assessment tools, but the biggest part of the questions are quite new, quite innovative for a manager. So it generates a lot of discussion and debate. So when you have launched an assessment on the platform, it appears like on the screen. This is the first page. Jean-Jacques explained that you have 5 groups of criteria and sub-criteria. So this is the first one about anticipation, awareness, and management responsiveness. And you go too quickly, Jean-Jacques. Yes. Okay. And so you have you have in each block sub-blocks like this one, A1 anticipation. And for each sub-block of criteria, you have questions with proposed answers that are not always perfectly corresponding to your situation as an MPA manager, but you have to click the one which is the most linked to your situation. So it's too small, I just can't read it here. But Jean-Jacques is showing progressively how it's organized. The second sub-block is awareness. For example, the first one is about the formal utilization of informal information. Generally, the MPA's managers discuss with the stakeholders and the biodiversity users and the scientists on the field. So it is able to collect informal information about the changes that are observed on the field, and he has the possibility to formally record, evaluate, use, and capitalize this information, or either not take care of it or use it as an element that will orient his decision, but which is not necessarily be systematized and formalized. So this is the three possible answers for this particular question, and it gives to you a number of points, and when you have finished with a block of questions, it gives a score for each sub block of evaluation criteria. So you have.
I go to the second page.
I can't comment if you change all the time, Jean-Jacques. It's moving very quickly. Okay, so this is for the first page, the first block of criteria on anticipation, awareness, and responsiveness. If you go to the second page, once you have answered all the different questions, you can go to the second page. It will generate a recording of the first results of the first page. So the second one is about territorial integration, with question about the quality of the spatial planning inside the MPA, the MPA itself, its limits, the internal zoning, and the coherence between internal zoning and the uses outside of the MPA. It checks whether the MPA is part of a global regional management plan on terrestrial and marine territories, and check whether there is a good continuity and a good connectivity of the uses and management rules, not only ecological connectivity, but a coherence about how the territories are managed. There are questions about the safety, the sustainability of the land tenure, and questions analyze whether there are still discussions about the limits and the land tenure status inside the MPAs. Okay. You can go to B2, Jean-Jacques?
Yes, yes.
It's a very sparkling, it's very moving a lot, so I have difficulties to align my speech with the image. Okay, so we now jump to C, about social integration. So this is about the quality of the identification of the stakeholders, the way they are involved in the planning, the management, the governance of the MPA, the quality of the relationships with them. Jean-Jacques, maybe you could give me the floor so that I can move it myself.
Could you repeat, please?
Maybe you can give me the floor so that I move the image myself.
I will do. Just one moment.
I'm not sure because I have to interact directly with platform on the web.
Okay, so don't move nothing.
I give you the floor, but now you are not in the presentation.
Okay, so go back to Jean-Jacques.
Okay.
He will show again the.
Yes, but I don't know where.
Okay, Jean-Jacques, just please stay here while I present the.
Yes, but I lost it. Now.
You need to share again your presentation.
Yes, I know, but okay.
Okay.
Now I'm sharing it, but it doesn't work. Perhaps you have to give me the rights, Pauline.
Yeah, you already have. Yeah, now it begins. It begins to share.
Okay.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay. The issue is also related that probably the Matthias connection is not so good, because I was recently in Senegal and we experienced a lot of issue with internet connection.
It's true. And that's why having the Excel sheets is really key when you're not certified about the quality of your connection. It's better to work directly on the Excel sheet and then update the platform later on. Okay, so you could maybe go a little bit down, Jean-Jacques, to the next questions. Okay. So the first part, C1, included also questions about conflicts management and the quality of the conflict management and resolving system, and also questions designed to understand what is the social recognition of the advantages and benefits from the MPA. The following parts are about the formalization of stakeholders' engagement. On the field, it's generally done to have daily relationships with the different categories of stakeholders, but once you have formalized relationships through MOUs or protocols and conventions, contracts, it makes you a bit stronger in case of a shock when you have really formalized relationship with the people you work with. So Jean-Jacques, you can go down just to check this part. Okay. So this last sub-block is about the involvement of the MPA team and manager in the local decision making. It's here in Senegal, it's been very interesting to see that in all the different assessments that I animated, it was obvious that the manager was making a lot of effort to invite the different stakeholders to sit around the consultation table and try to take consensual decision together. But once there is a project on the track and preparation of decisions for new infrastructures or arrangements in the territory around the MPA, the manager is generally not invited, which makes him very weak in terms of anticipation and capacity of influence in order to reorient the projects or check that they are aligned with the MPA objectives. Okay, so the next block is about political and institutional resilience. It's taking care. Jean-Jacques, you can go to the next page. Yes, thank you. It's taking care of the political support from the central political levels, the line management, and also the local decision makers, with an attention of the alignment of political orientation at the different geographical levels. It's analyzing. You can go, Jean-Jacques. Okay, on the institutional resilience of the MPA and the quality of the daily relationship with the line management, the number of interinstitutional agreements, and finally, at the end of this section, there are questions about the financial sustainability and the diversity of the sources and the existence of a long-term funding system. the fifth page, the fifth block of criteria is about knowledge management. There are very heterogeneous situations between the northern and the southern world about the length of the time, the length of the historical serials of data, scientific data. And generally in the south, there are still a lot of efforts to be made about scientific knowledge management, database management, data sharing, mapping capacities. So different informations are required here, and questions are addressing this part of the management of an MPA. There are questions about the capacity to extract the lessons learned and the capacity for capitalization in order to keep the memory of events, of the project already implemented, of the solutions undertaken in the face of a problem, in order to keep the memory of the actuation of management and identification of the best practices. And finally, there are also questions about the capacity of restoration and the capacity to identify the changes of the different compartments of the ecosystems and the quality of the monitoring of the situation of the main species and habitats. When you finish all this question, you have the results that appear on a graph, which makes it possible for the group of the people attending the assessment to give their impression. Here you have a very heterogeneous graph, which is generally the case in most of the countries where I've been organizing trainings and assessments. It appears very clearly that the MPAs are quite well installed in some aspects and very weak on other ones. Here in Africa, in West Africa, we are not in an area under the influence of cyclones, for example, and the level of preparedness and capacity of reconstructions is generally totally absent, because people have never the necessity to face meteorological events and have not been yet developing important capacities about that, which is just an example. So, okay, Jean-Jacques, maybe this is a more deep presentation of the tool. We could speak about it a lot of time. What I would like to share with the people attending the meeting today is the returns, the returns I had from the MPA managers, which were all very, very interested with the tool, very happy to do this work, who actually enjoyed the session and the discussion during the session, and we all decided to integrate the tool in their usual tools and to, from now, organize an annual auto assessment in order to be able to share, to compare from a situation to another one, the progress realized. And for example, in Senegal, it's been decided by the National Direction of MPAs that the result of SAT would be used in order to draft a roadmap and initiate a new program of work in order to strengthen the resilience capacity, with part of the job to be done at the central level from the hierarchy and line management of the MPAs, and part of the job to be done on the field by the MPAs managing teams. And I look forward to see next year what will be the changes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mathieu. I would like to add that, for example, the marine protected area of the island of Gorée in Senegal, which is now preparing its management plan, has been requiring some information after the assessment in order to integrate some recommendation into the management plan, which is under preparation. So for the result, we have here the page of results. We have a global graphic with all the criteria. We have some score, percentage of the maximal score for the 5 big categories or criteria. And after that, we have a detail of the score for sub-criteria. And after that, we have all the questions with a different color according to the response and to the score for the response. Here, it's possible to print with a right click to print this result in PDF and to use it. After that, as Mathieu said, it's interesting. It's not really very interesting the first time, but what is interesting is to redo this assessment 1 year after, or to compare between different MPAs. And we can do it with another function, with a retrieve data function. Every assessment has a specific ID, and with this ID, it's possible to retrieve the data. For example, I will put the ID of an assessment in, I think it was in Comoros. No, it is not this one, Comoros, similar. And I put the password that have been provided at the moment when the assessment has been started. And I search the database. So it's wrong on the, perhaps on the number, or on the password, perhaps. Just a minute. It's not what I want. Just. Okay. Alors. It was working. It doesn't work, it looks like. We will start with comparing. Now it looks like we are facing an issue with the database. Perhaps is a new computer. Is here. Can be due to the connection also, sometimes. We try another number, perhaps. Here we have two reserves, one in Mauritania, the other in Brazil, and it's possible to compare the results for the two reserves. So we have here the two graphics. It's under construction still. This is the reason why it didn't work well. And we have a comparison of the score for every criteria. The last part is still under development. I will retry now the retrieve data. Yes, it was an issue with the connection. Now it works. And we have been retrieving the data of this assessment, and we can go to the result. And we can reprint the same assessment that was done much before. Okay. So we will return to the platform. So I think that this presentation is more or less finished. What I would like before to talk about the perspective we have in the future and this year. First, I know that, for example, Marcia is present, is attending the meeting. Perhaps Marcia could give us some information on her experience using AirSat in Brazil. And after, I will give the floor also to Mike and Lisa, who have been using the tool also in USA, in New Jersey. Marcia, you want to say something?
Thank you, Jean-Jacques.
Thank you.
We made the first tries with a nucleus of protected areas, marine protected areas here in Florianopolis Island. And the experience was very nice because, as Mathieu said about Africa, we don't face too much climate extreme events, or now we are starting to face. So we used to work and manage our protected areas based on reactive function, always reacting, never prospecting, or this kind of management to the future. So the experience was very rich because the debates were very profound, and it started to just wake up about the resilience issue. And now we are trying to informally, because in Brazil we are now facing some difficulties about the institutional resilience, but we are trying to informally expand this experience, and it will be really important for us to start to think about resilience and this kind of rapid changes that we just react until now. So it was a really important experience here. Thank you, Jean-Jacques. I don't know if you are still there. Lisa or Mike, please.
Yeah, hi, this is Mike. I think Lisa had to step off. But, it's been a while since we did the self-assessment, and much has changed politically, environmentally, and of course with the COVID crisis. And I noted that Rafaela mentioned this in the chat, that COVID certainly has impacted MPA management, and we should certainly understand that better. But we have a new administration, leading the country. We have a new administration at the state level, and so that has actually improved political and financial support for climate change and management of marine protected areas. We've also seen a loss of resources due to COVID. And so there's not as much financial support, at least in our case, from the university. that we once had. So the point is, I think it is very useful to periodically reassess the vulnerability and the status of our MPAs using the RSAT tool. So during this conversation, Lisa and I were texting back and forth, and we would like to do another collective assessment using the RSAT tool with our MPA staff at the Cousteau Reserve. So the tool is, I think, very, very useful. It is a self-assessment, so we're not comparing ourselves, broadly with other MPAs. It's truly for internal use. And I think that's invaluable for us as we try to adapt to a changing environment, not just with respect to biodiversity and ecosystems, but political change as well. So I think I'll stop there and see if there are any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. I'm just in connection with Jean-Jacques that it seems that he has some technical problems, but we can continue our discussions. So I don't know if there's any other participant that wants to contribute or maybe ask something about the tool.
Could we maybe an answer in the chat? There are interesting questions.
Yeah.
And I've seen a question from Nishanti Pereira about the possibility to integrate the elements of this tool into the existing MET process. In fact, it's totally complementary, but it's not a management effectiveness assessment tool. The assessment of resilience capacity are addressing all the type of capacities and questions. And if I take the example for example, in Gabon, in Pongara National Park, just in front of Libreville, was one of the showcases of the national politic of conservation, a very visited area next by the capital. And Gabon spent quite a lot of money on marine surveillance and animation and different things like that. And they were quite good at management effectiveness, actually, but they were absolutely not prepared to a shock in case they would receive a huge storm or anything like that. All their operational capacity on the field would have been destroyed the same day, with nothing organized in order to be operational again the day after. So it's actually two different point of views which are very complementary, but which should maybe not be integrated, as this tool was designed because the resilience question was not correctly addressed by the management effectiveness usual management tools.
Yeah, in fact, this is as well a question that was raised in the previous edition in Spanish, and I think that is interesting that this is I imagine that it's a basic question from the point of view of a manager, but it's important to clarify that despite you are using the same methodology in terms of building the tool, the topic that is addressed is very specific and is quite different one from the other. But I think that we can benefit of the fact that most managers are already familiar with this methodology, but taking into consideration always that here we address something that usually is not addressed when we talk about management effectiveness. So I fully agree with Matthew's comment, and I think it's important, it's an important issue to clarify.
Sorry, but
welcome back, Jean-Jacques.
Yes, my connection interrupt. I failed. I don't know why.
You are not yet in Brittany, so you are not allowed to disconnect. Sorry.
Yes. It was just because I was thinking that I am in Brittany. Okay. Another point, interesting point. Recently, we were in Senegal in the marine protected area of Joal. Joal is a marine protected area really, which work very closely with the fishers. And the pattern of the graphic we obtained after the assessment, I was really surprised because it was very similar to a protected area in Brazil, Marcia have been working with, that was also managed by the fishers. And it's interesting to see that these patterns are significant, really, because we have been experiencing in Senegal with a different assessment. Generally, we find the same weakness and the same strengths. So it's interesting to see that this pattern is really reflecting a kind of resilience profile of the MPAs. And it's really very encouraging for us. Perhaps there are some questions before.
Yeah, there are some interesting questions in the chat as well. But anyway, you can read the questions in the chat, and if there is someone that wants to talk about or just
yes, but as I've been disconnected, I don't have access to the chat before I connect again. So I don't have, the chat is empty for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
Yeah.
maybe, yeah, someone?
Yeah, hi Puri, Jean-Jacques, this is Mike. I do have a comment related to the resource section of the website. We've been posting articles, journal articles, primarily there, and that's a really nice resource for folks. I wanted to ask if we could also just include links, to other sites there as well. And I know in the past I've talked about the Digital Coast platform at NOAA, which has a lot of resources. So in addition to full copies of papers and articles, is there a way to just add a web link for users to access?
Yes, for sure. And users can add and post web links and another resource. On the platform already we have a link. I should have to launch the platform because I had to reset my computer. We have already a link to the main website of the project, and we will have to add a link also to the marine mammals platform. Here, when you go, I will share my screen again. Where is, yes, here. Okay, when you go to the Ocean Governance Project, here we have a link to the Ocean Governance website on this picture, and we will add a link for marine mammals. Now, for the resource, you have the link here. All these blue buttons are links to the different websites. For example, Rampao. We can go to the Rampao website directly. Now, I would like to encourage all the partners and all the people interested by resilience to post elements of this platform in order to share information. I think that the issue on language is no more an issue with the automatic translation of Google or of Microsoft. So it's possible now to share a lot of information. And as Mike was saying during our last meeting when I was in Senegal, that is very interesting to have a platform which gather information from different countries and different continents. Perhaps, Mike, you could explain again this remark, this observation you have been providing during our last meeting.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Jean-Jacques? what
Yes,
you're asking.
last meeting we had when we were in Senegal with Mathieu, you were saying that this platform is interesting because
Oh, yeah.
the platform is gathering information from different countries and different continents, and it's not only as a national platform.
Yeah, this is called the Digital Coast, and it's administered by NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, part of our federal government. And it provides access to a lot of lessons learned and best practices, articles, and general resources about the coast mini maps, for example, a lot of GIS data layers focused primarily on the US. And so if someone was looking for some information that could be adapted, to their situation, it's a really good resource and platform. It's still under development. It's been funded, by our Congress and the federal government. An authorization bill to make this a formal part of NOAA was just passed recently. So it's a great resource, and I'm sure there are other web platforms too in other countries, other areas of the world that could also serve as useful links. But I do want to say that what has been produced here is very helpful, very valuable, and we at the Custobers are plan to continue to add more resources to it as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I don't know if there are some more questions.
Yeah, I think I propose, Jean-Jacques, that I read the questions that the participants put in the chat, so you can respond to them. Let me just check. There was one from Portugal. Yes, it say, "Hi, my name is Bárbara Horta Costa, marine ecologist, CCMAR, Portugal. Can we participate in this project as an outsider? I would really like to apply this tool to the Portuguese MPAs. We already have some data about Portuguese MPAs management, and we are preparing a survey to allow a deeper knowledge based on existing survey. I'm also very interested in assessing MPAs vulnerability. We could try to apply to at least some Portuguese MPAs. Very interesting approach. Well done." So maybe you can respond.
Thank you very much. Really, we are very happy to welcome all the MPA manager, all the scientists or technical staff interested to work with us. And please, I will put my email, and you can contact us, and you can also perhaps liaise with Duarte Figueiredo, who is the manager of the Northern Littoral Natural Park. And I think now he's regional director or something like this in the north of Portugal. But we will be very happy to exchange and to work together and to integrate your efforts into the global effort we are doing for resilience within the framework of the project. I will put my email because I'm not. Okay. Thank you very much.
So next, yeah, this next
yes,
question.
I would like to give a word here. It's very easy to jump in the program and to use the tool through the platform. It's a very user-friendly system. But what I would actually recommend is to make the effort to set up programs that whether regional or national levels, because it's very interesting to see how some people give a lot of interest to the tool, the way it's innovative, leads them to take an active role, and then they can help their neighbors and their colleagues in other MPAs. And it's very interesting to be able to share and compare the results. And the example that I'm leading now in Senegal is very very interesting, as it's clearly showing some weaknesses that were absolutely not addressed, and the decision makers at the MPA level and at the national level directly decided to take action and to modify some part of their conservation policy and marine protected areas policy. So it's certainly interesting to jump and to make a first assessment, and then to rapidly discuss with the line managers in order to install the tool and this practice in the different countries around the Atlantic.
If I could just add a comment, this is Mike again, to Barbara Costa's comment in the chat. I don't think you should consider yourself an outsider, and I believe our group here, Mathieu, Jean-Jacques, Corey, would agree that we're looking for new members to add to the twinning project. So please don't use that term outsider. We'd love to add you as a member. And I think, as Puri noted it at the outset in her comments, we're looking to expand the network. So all are welcome as a network member.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thanks, Mike. I think this is an important point, and especially the adaptation of the project to the COVID restrictions includes deeper use of all these online tools that allows us to be connected with more people, because normally we will not have the funds to mobilize everybody for meetings, for face-to-face meetings, but we have no restrictions for connecting through online tools. So that's, everybody's welcome.
And again, for Barbara's information, Jean-Jacques alluded to one of the key partners in Portugal, Duarte Figueroa, is the individual that we've been working with, and I do believe he's a regional manager or national manager of environmental programs there.
I don't know if there are more other questions.
Yeah, there are a few more. If you allow a moment, I will just read. Well, the next one is from Nishanti Pereira, as well from Sri Lanka, but I think we already respond to,
yes,
to the management effectiveness. And then from Rafaela, she said, the great tool. Have you been able to see how the COVID crisis, another type of crisis, was actually changing or not the results of the assessment on cases?
Well, I will, first I would like to welcome Francis Staub with animating the Marine Mammals Partnership. I will give the floor to Francis to answer to Nishanti Pereira, but first I would like to respond to Rafaela that we are just starting, even if we have more than 20 assessments already done. We don't have an extensive sample of assessment in order to understand if there are some change related to the situation, to the COVID situation. So I'm not able to answer really this question. So perhaps Francis, you could provide some information for Nishanti Pereira on the twinning mammal. Marine mammal?
I don't see Francis here.
Francis perhaps is no more here.
I don't see it in the list.
Puri, you can provide this information.
Oh, a little bit, yes.
As you are the twinning.
Yeah, the twinning of marine mammals have an equivalent approach to the twinning on resilience, that is working directly with the managers of a number of marine protected areas. And their focus is how the different MPAs across the Atlantic are including in their management plans tools or elements for really taking care of the marine mammals protection, because we realize that certainly those marine mammals are not always considered as key elements in the management plans of the MPAs. So under this approach, they exchange, and obviously the responsibility of the MPA towards a certain species or group of species of marine mammals is different depending on the geographic position of the MPA. In some cases, they are just taking care of areas important for reproduction, for feeding, depending on many aspects. And I'm just summarizing, but what this I think is really relevant of this twinning is that they have as well developed a tool to for the managers to see how much they are including those elements to take care of marine mammals in their management plans. So this tracking tool is equivalent to the one that you saw today in targeting Brazilians, but very specific for marine mammals. And they are also now enlarging the number of partners exchanging about this topic on marine mammals protection from the point of view of the marine protected areas management. So, and they are very closely connected with the Convention on Migratory Species. I know that they sometimes participate some people from the convention in some of the meetings, but I think that the best you can do is to contact directly with Francis, and he can respond. I'm going to put here the email of Francis Stopp, which is the coordinator for this twinning.
Yes, I would like to add that they are also working very well with the Whale Commission, with the Whale International Commission. So, Uri, is there any questions that have not been addressed?
And not in the chat, and I don't see any hand raised. So,
okay. So I would like just in order to conclude, to talk about a little bit about the perspective we have for this year and coming years. This perspective, we have seen that in Senegal, with the commitment of the Senegalese administration, that really we are really working very well together with them. And we feel it's useful, I think, for everyone, because we get very good feedbacks on the tool, and these feedbacks contribute to improve the tool. Also, there is a work program, extensive work program with the RAMPAO, the Western African Network for Marine Protected Areas. And these two examples are very good examples, and we would like to expand this model. That means to build national assessment programs with different MPAs in some countries, and to build some programs with MPA networks, with regional networks in different countries. And I think that building some program with regional networks, the network twinning will help us to build and to prepare these programs. And we will contact national administrations for MPAs first in the countries of our partners. That means Portugal, that means Mexico. We have been a very good feedback, and we have been working very well with the CONAMP. So we would like to build a more structured program in order to multiplicate the assessments in Mexico, and also in United States. I think that Mike would be able. We will prepare a webinar. We will organize a webinar such as this webinar with your colleagues of the Estuarine Research Reserve Network, and in order to identify whose colleagues are interested to undertake such assessments with your help and your contribution. So I think that it's a good way to expand the twinning, the partnership, and to get more experience, more feedback in order to improve the tools. Perhaps, Mathieu, you have something to add?
No, I think we remain all available to facilitate and give advice in case it's necessary. I hope that there will be a very active communication in between the heads of the networks And I'm also working a lot with Marie-Suzanne Traoré, the executive secretary of the WAMPAN, West African Marine Protected Areas Network. I'm chairing the scientific board of the WAMPAN, and we work closely with the executive secretary in order to support the different members. So maybe we could, with the support of Puri, have discussions with the heads and animators of the regional networks in order to, I don't know, to check how it could be done region by region to facilitate, install the tool and promote it for it to be used by as many members as possible. As soon as we have a lot of records of the results of the auto assessment, we will have a useful database that will ease identifying patterns, like Jean-Jacques said, and so it's time now, I think, to widely promote it and facilitate the launching of AirSat programs.
Yeah. I fully agree, Matthew. And in fact, at our webinar on Witness Day in Spanish, we had the idea to organize as well maybe 1 or 2 seminars more technically addressing what's beyond the resilience for an MPA, what means in terms of technical aspects, because for most people, they look at the tool and they don't know exactly how deep they must go, what exactly means, because there are several concepts around the resilience that can still create confusion for managers that never work on that. So we thought with Jean-Jacques that maybe we can organize with the networks some seminars to really build capacity among the managers community, maybe regionally, or this is something we will discuss the way, but this could really support and prepare the managers to apply the tool. It's going to be easier for them if they don't have to go in deep every time they look, and they have a common understanding of all the concepts. So this will be a good basis to reinforce your work at the twinning. And just, I'm very sorry for those of you that missed the connection at certain moments. Just to say that we have been recording all the webinar, and we will send to you the link so we can just visualize again, and it will be as well available at our website. So this, please don't hesitate to share with other people that you know that they are interested on this topic and in being connected, because that's the aim of the webinar, to really put this available to as much people as possible and spread this approach of networking to support the inclusion of resilience in your normal management work. So thank you very much. And I don't know if there is any other questions. I'm just checking. I see one question from Barbara in Portugal. She's asking, do you consider protection levels as a criteria for MPA resilience? I did not follow all the points. I'm sorry.
Yes, it's quite difficult to know exactly what we mean by the word protection levels. If there are the IUCN categories, we are, with this assessment, with the AirSat tool, we are considering the reality. That means we are not considering exactly, for sure, we talk about designation of the MPA, categories and other, but we are really assessing what happened in the reality, what happened in the ground. So protection level can be a consequence of the assessment, where we are able to identify that in some way this MPA is more or less well protected. But I don't know exactly what you mean by the word protection levels.
So I don't know, maybe if Barbara wants to take the floor and just talk about. She's just adding a link to a paper.
Can I speak?
Yes, please.
Sorry, it's faster. I'm sorry. Thank you a lot for this opportunity. I was just sharing a paper that we developed some years ago about the classification system for MPAs that is based on regulations. So it's a regulation-based classification system. And now, more recently, there's one that is coming out. It's called MPA Guide. I'm not sure if you are aware, but it tries to classify the different types of MPAs based on what happens on the ground. And the MPA Guide also includes the stage of establishment. So it was, I was just wondering, how do you incorporate in this resilience what is happening in the ground? And this is a tool that it can be used that is very straightforward.
No, it's very interesting, and we will have to read these papers and perhaps to contact you back. I think that your mail is included into the list of participants.
Yeah, we will include all the, since you're registered, I think we have all the mails of everyone participating here.
Yes, so we can come back. We can contact you after reading this paper, and probably there are many interesting things perhaps to improve. We are in the way to improve the tool, to improve, to diversify, to adjust. So every source of innovation is welcome, really welcome.
I will also share the link for the MPA guide that is being built with IUCN and the WDPA and so on. So
yeah, we are aware of the MPA guide as well, but thank you for reminding all this. And I'm very happy to see also participants from the Mediterranean, because my colleagues of Mpa today, they could not attend at the very last moment. They will anyway just watch the video, but it's nice to see friends from Turkey, and thank you for attending.
Thank you very much. Yes, I've seen that in the list there are a lot of members from Mpa.
Yeah. And it will be, for us, this is an important topic as well in the Mediterranean. So certainly the idea is through Mpa to spread the tool and to support the managers to use it and just apply and take advantage of the tool. So I think we have a lot of work to do. And just to say that we will, some of you also ask about the marine mammals twinning. We will be organizing as well webinars on the tool that the marine mammals twinning is developing, and to present. So since we have all your emails, you will be receiving information of all the coming webinars and other the training or events we might be organizing. Because as I said at the beginning, the project is 1 year extended now, but during this year, probably all our activity will be online. So this is a great opportunity for reaching a larger audience and having more people on board and exchanging with more MPAs. So we will take advantage of this, and you will receive all this information if you are interested to join us in future events. And please don't hesitate to contact if we have any question, even after the webinar is finished.
Okay, so thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks a lot.
And
have a
bye-bye.
Evening, afternoon, day, whatever.
Yes.
Thanks a lot.
Merci. Obrigada. Take care.
Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.
See.